So I'm 54 years old. I went from being obese to now having under a 31-inch waist and feeling and looking fit. And there's some of the secrets that I've used is you never eat the same thing 2 days in a row. It's aside from protein powder and high quality proteins. If you had something like eggs the day before, you skip that. You always try to look at the micro fractions with everything you're doing. You're looking more like through a microscope at the food constituents. So that gets into even superfoods. I believe that you should alternate everything that you take in on a 2 or 3 day program cycle, if you will. Another really great tool is obviously water. You start out with hot water in the morning, if that's the time that you are flushing your system and going into a fast. If you want to start that fast in the evening and you cut out your meals relatively early, you can start in with that hot water or a tea that isn't necessarily thermogenic, but it doesn't create more acid in your system. And there's certain rules that we live by. Some of those rules are, if you're going to eat carbohydrates, almost always try to make sure that they are high fiber sources, at least high roughage and high soluble fiber sources, and that you're taking in full spectrum amino acids with everything that you do as well. I'm really getting most everything I need from long walks that I take. I try to do anywhere between 9 and 12 miles typically. This week's been off. I've only averaged about 32 or 33 miles for the whole week. But typically I do between 60 and 70 miles per week. And it really keeps the metabolism going. And that's definitely something as you get older that you need to put your focus on. And then you can start relying more on the nutrition and the diet and starting to have fun with the excursions that you go about doing, as far as like going for long bike rides, going on trips where you're getting a nice run or a hike in. And you switch from a sedentary lifestyle to a very active one, but you don't bite off more than you can chew, where you're doing something that's outside the tradition, the construct of your own physiological expectations, ability, and demands. In other words, adaptation's already occurred. And I believe that is where the diet comes in, where we've got to focus a lot more. I started out with doing the carnivore for 2 months. That brought my weight down enough to start getting into some more serious workouts. And then the workouts became more and more concurrent, more commonplace every single week, until it just felt natural for me to work out at least 3 to 5 days throughout the week. Talking about like resistance training. The one thing that I've been missing that I think is very crucial is that you have at least one day where you're doing, where you're working with gravity. You're using predominantly weights, kettlebells, even Pilates reformers, other than just body weight bands and isometric type movements. Iso meaning same. Another little trick is flexing. A lot of people think that they're being very vain in doing so, or that they're, collapsing themselves into a really superficial mind state. But if you can get away from that and kind of remove the ego, if it's possible, from what you're doing, you're literally just trying to innervate blood flow and electrical conduction to that area, thereby creating a stimulus. And that is so crucial and so important to do when you've been very sedentary. And a lot of times that's the place that you want to start before you even get into a resistance training program. So if you look at the videos down below where I was very fat, that was only 6-7 months ago when I did those videos. And I just started coming out, and I'm like flexing, I'm, doing this and that. And now I've become a little bit more purposicacious in my thoughts. I've become a little bit more aware of myself, my environment, where I am. And you have to become an active member in your own life. And the only way to do that is to focus on fitness first.